Right now, your brain is changing. I don't mean it metaphorically or you're learning something new. No, I mean it physically. The connections between your neurons are being remodeled as we speak. And here's the thing, it never stops. That's because your brain is not a fixed object that slowly degrades over time. No, it constantly rewires itself based on how you think, what you do, and even how you sleep. This process has a name. It's called neuroplasticity. And by the end of this video, you will learn what is it and why you should care. Hey, I'm Federico. I'm a master student in neurobiology and I started this channel because I genuinely think that understanding your brain shouldn't require a degree. So that's what we are doing it now, explaining neuroscience like it's a conversation between friends. Alright, let's talk about your brain. So let's start from scratch. What even is your brain made of? The brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons. These are the cells that carry the information. But here's the thing, neurons don't work alone. Neurons talk to each other, and they do so through connections called synapses. Think of it like a city. Each neuron is a building, and the synapses are the roads between them. Now, in a normal city, you wouldn't see a new highway appear overnight out of nowhere, right? But in your brain, it builds roads all the time. It strengthens the one I use a lot, and it quietly demolishes the one I haven't seen traffic in a while. That is neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to rewire itself, pruning connections, strengthening others, and creating new ones entirely. There is actually a phrase that neuroscientists use it a lot, and it's what fires together wires together. Meaning, the more two neurons are activated at the same time, the stronger the connection between them gets. Use a pathway enough, and it becomes a motorway. Ignore it, and it shrinks to a dirt track. So, when does this rewiring actually kick in? Honest answer, constantly. But there are some situations where it ramps up. Learning something new is the obvious one. Every time you practice a skill, a language, an instrument, a sport, you are literally carving new pathway into your brain. The first time you tried to ride a bike, it was a chaos, right? That's because the circuit didn't exist yet. After a few tries, it starts forming. After a few weeks, it's basically automatic. The road is built. Memory works the same way. Every time you recall a memory, you are not playing back a recording, you are reconstructing it and slightly reinforcing the neural pathway that holds it. That's why repetition of work for study, and also a bit unsettling, but that's why memory can sometimes change over time. Recovery from injury is where it gets really powerful. When part of the brain is damaged, let's say after a stroke, neighboring regions can sometimes take over the lost function. Not perfectly, not always, but the fact that this happens, it's really impressive. Okay, I have to tell you about one of my favorite studies in all neuroscience, because it really makes neuroplasticity real. London taxi drivers. Back in 2000, there wasn't Google Maps or any other navigation device. A researcher named Eleanor Maguire scanned the brains of London's cab drivers and compared them to regular people, and she found something unexpected. The cab drivers had a significantly larger hippocampus, that's the brain region responsible for navigation and memory. But it gets better. The longer someone had been driving a taxi, the bigger the hippocampus was. And when she looked at the retired drivers, the size has partially gone back down. Think of what this means. These people didn't have a special brain to start with. It was the same of everybody else. But the brain changed. It adapted because of what they were doing every single day. The brains have built more roads because the job demanded. Here's the part about neuroplasticity that most people don't get. It doesn't happen only when you are learning something new, practicing something. No, it happens all the time in the background, in ways that you never expected. When you sleep, your brain isn't resting, it's working overtime. It's consolidating the day's experiences, deciding what to keep and what to throw away. Some researchers now think sleep is when a lot of the plastic changes from the day gets permanently locked in, which is a very good argument to not pull a all-nighter before an exam, by the way. Exercise is another one that people underestimate. Physical movement triggers the release of protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which basically acts like a fertilizer for neurons. It promotes the survival and encourages new connections. So a 20-minute walk or just exercising before studying can actually help you remembering better. Okay, cool, but why any of these should matter to you practically? Few reasons. First, mental health. Depression, anxiety, PTSD, these aren't just feelings, they are in part patterns of neural activity that become deeply reinforced over time. Routes that have been used so much they become the default wrong route. Understanding that gives us a framework for why things like therapy and certain medication work. They are not just changing your mood, they are helping your brain building a new, better road. Second, learning and age. There is a persistent myth that after a certain age your brain is done and it can't change anymore. This is false. Neuroplasticity declines with age, yes, but it never disappears. Adults can and do learn new languages, new instruments, new skills. The brain is really more malleable than we give it credit for. And third, and this is the one I want to leave you with, means that you are not fixed. Who you are right now is not a life sentence. Your habits, your reaction, your skills. They are all encoded in neural pathways that can, with effort and time, be changed. So, to bring it all back, your brain is not a static organ. It's constantly reorganizes itself based on experience, habit, sleep, movement, and attention. Neurons that fire together wire together. And what that means in practice is that your brain that you have today is not the brain you will have in a year. That's neuroplasticity, but we barely scratch the surface of neuroscience. Next video, we are going to take a step deeper. We are going to talk about the synapses. How do neurons actually communicate with each other? Step by step, like a casual conversation. We are going to see how they do that and what can go wrong. If that sounds interesting to you, which should, trust me, just subscribe so you won't miss it. And if you have any suggestion, any question, some topics you want me to cover, something you want me to explain differently, just leave it in the comment. I read everything. And until then, I'll see you in the next one.